Financial support for the production of Issues in Education is provided by the Florida State University License Plate. Your FSU license plate supports scholarships for students who enrich and contribute to our communities. Special programs, gift certificates, and rebates for first-time buyers online at fsu.edu/mytag.
Coming up on Issues in Education, we explore the world of students who are the first in their families to go to college, the challenges and the help available next. Welcome to Issues in Education. I'm Suzanne Smith, alongside my co-host, the Florida State University President, Dr. Eric Barron. Earlier this year, we talked about the incoming freshman class and how their average GPA in high school was 3.9. Well, I have another number for you, 23. That's the percentage of these same students who are the first in their families to go to college. They're known as first-generation students, and they face unique challenges. FSU has a program that helps them navigate the situation. It's called CARE, the Center for Academic Retention and Enhancement. Joining us today is CARE's director, Angela Richardson. Also, Dr. Maxine Jones, who is a professor in the Department of History and works with CARE. She was a first-generation student herself. And Kaila Kowalski. She is just a few months away from being the first in her family with a college degree. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Kaila, first in your family, what did that mean to you? What were the challenges? What did you worry about? Why did you really want to do it?
I guess for me it was more that college was always this abstract concept that everyone kind of talked about but no one really knew about. So for me, I wanted to be that person and be like, no matter what, I can do it. I can go back and tell my family what it was like. I can be that one to experience it and learn about it and kind of pave the way for the rest of my family. I have a little sister. I want to make sure that she knows what it's like and that it's not as scary as it seems to a lot of first-generation college students.
Did you have fears when you were going in? What were some of your biggest fears?
Oh, of course. I think the scariest thing for me was am I going to adapt? Am I going to fit in? Is there going to be something for me? It was always this, college is just school, but it's not. It's so much more. So was I going to create a family here? Was I going to be scared? And I think every worry that normal and everybody else has, plus the unknown, was quite scary.
Dr. Jones, you were the first in your family to get a degree back in 1975 here at FSU. Was your experience like hers, where you were afraid of the unknown, or what was it like for you?
I was afraid, but I was also excited. I was the first in my family to graduate from high school, and I knew I had good grades, but I also saw it as an opportunity to, I guess, recreate myself. I was very shy. I was an introvert. Coming to a new place, where no one knew me. And I thought, here's an opportunity. Of course, I'm the same shy and introvert person that I was then, but the opportunities. I knew if I stayed at home, I would be limited in what I could do, and so college was a doorway for me.
And Director Richardson, we have this wonderful program there to help students called CARE. What's the mission? Why is it that FSU is so invested in CARE?
Well, I think the university recognizes its responsibility to educate, I guess, the populace, and that there are those who have not had opportunities as some of their counterparts who really need some kind of support, some kind of intervention. Their parents did not attend college, so they can't share information on what the expectations are, what the benefits are, what study habits, what study skills they need to have, and just generally campus life and what all of that entails. Also engaging on campus. And so these students really face many, many challenges. Many of them are socioeconomic, but just having someone to ensure that they are guided through survival skills in college is very, very critical.
Can you describe like a typical first-generation student for us? Are they high achieving already, and do you expect them to do well?
Well, I think one of the things about CARE is that the student population who comes in is really, really very highly diverse. The common theme is they're either first generation or they're socioeconomically disadvantaged in some other respect. I cannot pinpoint one example of a care student. We have had students that were in foster care. We've had homeless students. On the other end of the continuum, we've had students who came from first-generation families, and both parents are in the household. Most of our students are from single-parent households, and quite naturally, it would follow that there are some economic constraints there as well. But essentially, there are students who have the capability to do college-level work. The majority of our students are high-achieving, but it is an alternative admission program, and so most of the students have issues with their test scores, but they have demonstrated the capacity to do college-level work through their grade point averages.
And Dr. Jones, you also have a role in care. How did you get involved and why did you get involved?
Well, I've been associated with the two previous programs as well. The first one back in the 80s, I guess. And I worked very closely with that program. In fact, I lived in a dorm with the students for 6 weeks. And when CARE was recreated, I had the opportunity to teach in the program. And I guess I provided some continuity as well. And so I teach a large section of American history every year.
And are those only care students in that group, or?
Occasionally we will get some student athletes or a few other students who've had trouble getting the course to fit into their schedule.
Kaila, when you first got here, what were you surprised about college? Was there anything that was surprising? I mean, you went through the CARE summer program beforehand, but was there anything that you really hadn't expected that surprised you?
I guess the biggest surprise is that it was more than just school. You know, I knew that it was going to be academics and all of that, and I knew sort of what I was getting into with the CARE program, but I didn't realize how much more there was to the whole college thing than just academics. And it really is like a home away from home.
You have been quite active. Tell us some of the activities you've been involved with.
Well,
you don't have to give them all, because there's a lot.
Oh, I'm a senior, so over my past couple years, I've been an orientation leader. Currently an RA. I serve as the internal director for Dance Marathon, and I work with an undergraduate student affairs program.
And you're a care counselor as well.
And I was a care counselor, yes.
That's an amazing that's an amazing list of activities. To go from, you know, not the same role models to being so incredibly involved is it's a great story. So, Director Richardson, do you see common challenges? Can you kind of make a list after seeing all of these students and saying, I know you're going to face this and this and this?
Yeah. Well, typically the biggest problem for our students, of course, and it would naturally follow, is finances. But most of it is adjustment related. It's some of the things that Kaila has already mentioned. You know, I'm afraid, you know, there's nobody here that I know. I get homesick. How do I get involved on campus? Getting adjusted to the rigors of the academics in college as opposed to the way it was in high school. These are the kinds of things that we focus on in CARE in trying to help students transition.
Dr. Jones, from students in classes, can you tell their work being different from other students who are like first generation students? Is there do you see how CARE programs help them in their work, their everyday work?
Well, I don't see a difference in the quality of work. I think most freshman students have the same challenges. I think most freshman students don't understand that what worked in high school does not work in college. You know, so time management, waiting until the last minute to do assignments, I see that across the board. And often it doesn't matter sometimes if you're a freshman or a senior. It's just learning that college is a little more rigorous and that college is your top priority. You know, when students come to college for the first time, they're experiencing a level of freedom that they've never had before. And mommy and daddy aren't here to, you know, tell them to study or when to study, and they sometimes take advantage of that.
So So many of the same challenges for every student. So how does CARE level the playing field in some respects?
We don't coddle,
Yeah.
but we do give extra attention. We try to encourage students to take advantage of the support system that's built in. That first 6 weeks during the summer, they meet almost every administrator and program director on campus, so they know where to go when you're having some type of difficulty. And we try to encourage them to get that help, before it's too late.
So it's sort of a very much a proactive situation. Tell us about some of the programs that CARE has, because there's a variety of them, like the Summer Bridge program.
Well, I think first of all we need to clarify that CARE is not, it's just a program. It is an academic support center that houses a number of programs, and the Summer Bridge is one of them.
Okay.
But when students come in through the Summer Bridge program, we continue to work with them really until they graduate. During the freshman and sophomore years when we have closer ties to them. And we are developing now some programming for the junior and senior year. But the whole point is to give them the skills that they need to be able to do things independently. We don't want to hold their hands the entire time they're here, and they don't want us to. But being able to manage your money. Some of these students have never had as much money as they've had with financial aid and these kinds of things. Time management. All of these kinds of issues are things that are very critical. Roommate issues. How do I select a roommate? How do I work to get along with that person? How do I adjust to campus, learn the resources that are available on campus? These are all things that we try and work with them in, making sure that they understand that the faculty, staff, and administration here at the university are really here for them, are supportive, and that it's just a matter of making sure that they introduce themselves to them and be a little more assertive in making their interests known and their needs known.
Now, is that all in just that 6-week period, the Summer Bridge program?
Well, the 6-week program is basically for transition. We hire about 25 peer counselors who live in the residence halls with the students, and they actually serve as guides and role models because they tend to listen more to a student than they will to an administrator or a faculty member. And so we make sure that we get very strong students who have some strong leadership skills, they're strong academically, they know their way around campus and around the local community, and they can be excellent role models and guides for these students. And they actually develop lifelong relationships and depend on them even beyond the summer experience.
That's what you did, Kaila, right?
Yes, that's what I did. I was a care counselor this summer.
So lifelong experiences with them and friendships?
Well, I hope so. I love my care students. It's such a unique bond that you have. I had 13 of my own students, and even just seeing them on campus now, and they're in organizations and they're running for executive positions already, and they do, like she said, it's an easier bond to connect to another first-generation college student, because even though there are so many issues to connect you to all the students, it's a little bit different. It's a little stronger connection. It's something that you can look at someone and you just understand what they're going through, and seeing my students succeed and be able to call me up just to ask me where a building is at 9 o'clock in the morning, or what professor do I go for this, or can I really go to office hours? Little things like that, it makes it worth it.
I know that there's a lot of evidence, and in my academic career I've encouraged a lot of parents to have their son or daughter start in the summer. The sense being that there are fewer distractions, you discover what it takes to succeed, and as a consequence, when all 41,000 students are there, you're already in a different mindset. So this is sort of a part one, but we have this part two, which is this level of engagement with being there in the residence halls and developing relationship with student mentors. So this really is well beyond what we know from statistics. A good way to get up your grade point is to start in the summer.
Absolutely, it's like Head Start
Yeah.
in college. Actually, it gives them, by the time they get back here in the fall, they have a few credits under their belt. They know their way around campus. They have met some folk on campus that are going to be instrumental to them while they're undergraduates. And they have a comfort level. Students have come back to me and said, Mrs. Richardson, I'm so glad I was in care. I saw freshmen come in this fall and they couldn't find their way around, and I could actually tell them how to get there. And so they feel really good about that. And Kaila mentioned to me earlier that even now, even though she's a senior and about to graduate, she still maintains contact with the counselor that was her, her counselor when she came in as a student. So these kinds of relationships are really very, very critical and very important to helping students succeed.
Now, Dr. Jones, do you see, what role do faculty members play in helping first-generation students? You talked about your role, but what about outside of CARE?
I think just being available, not treating them any differently from, regular freshmen. They have the same issues as all beginning students have, and being ready to serve as a mentor. I think that's more important than almost anything else.
Do you think faculty that are involved, it's a big advantage to have been first generation themselves?
Yes, I think maybe they understand the importance of getting an education in a way that others might not have. I think they understand in a way that maybe others don't or can't.
What advice do you have for students who are looking to go to college, or their first generation students? What advice do each of you have for them on how to approach it and be successful? Kaila, why don't you start?
I guess my biggest piece of advice would be to just do it. There's always people that are like, maybe you can't do that, or no one in your family's done that, so maybe you just stay at a community college, or take online classes. But I think everyone should just do it. If you have the opportunities, there's so many disadvantages out there that there's so many programs to help those who are disadvantaged, and those who just think that they can't do it, they can. There's so many resources, and once you get here, it's not as scary as people think it is. I know I was scared, and I just think everyone needs to take the chance and go for it.
Dr. Jones?
It's an opportunity. It's a good investment that will pay dividends forever. Money should never be a factor. It opens up an entire new world for people who are willing to take that chance.
Director?
I think I would say that college is possible. There are a number of students who are in the same position maybe that Kaila was in, who think, I can't do this. I don't know. I don't have the money. But it's important also for those students to do their research and to learn that there are, in fact, support systems, opportunities, and resources out there available to assist them.
Thank you all very much for joining us. We've been talking about first-generation students. For more information on FSU's CARE, go to care.fsu.edu. When we come back, Dr. Barron and I will talk one-on-one about more issues in education. Welcome back to Issues in Education. I'm Suzanne Smith, talking with Dr. Eric Barron, the president of the Florida State University. Dr. Barron, we've been talking about first-generation students. Why is it so important that the university take extra steps to help these students?
Okay, well, my personal feeling is what we want is to have students be successful. And there are all sorts of different issues and factors in an individual's success. And so we know, first generation in your family, you may not have had all the same role models. You may not have all the same knowledge of what college life will be like. And so as an institution, I think it's an obligation, but I think we can also take pride that we look at everybody and talk about what it takes to make them successful.
A few months ago on this program, you talked about the creation of the Florida State Veterans Center. You recently announced several additional initiatives to go with that. Tell us a little bit about them.
So this is, in some ways, it's quite similar. So here's a population of students that are first generation, and we know amazingly in America, we still have 25 to 30% of the students applying to college are first generation. Different types of a need and approach. Now here's the second population, our veteran students. So we have about 750 students on the GI Bill. We've got about half of those served in Iraq or Afghanistan. Now imagine them coming onto this campus. They're transitioning from a military experience to a civilian experience and an educational experience. They're older. They're not going to live in a residence hall. They're not going to meet people the same way. They may be married. They may have a lot of issues because of the service that they had. They may, in fact, most of them are used to the notion that they go one place in a central command. Or they may have problems and they will choose to hide rather than to share those. So this is a different population, one that served our country, and again, FSU is looking at how do we make these individuals successful. So we've created these set of initiatives in order to address that.
Well, now one of them is the Veterans Day movie screening, which is going to be turning into a film festival.
Right, so we really have a three-part effort here. One is the Veterans Film Series. Our Collegiate Veterans Association proposed this as a way not only to add visibility, but as a fundraiser. And they worked to get Ruby Diamond, and the people in charge of Ruby Diamond said, now who are you? And why should we turn over this whole facility to you? So I made the reservation, and I set up a reception. They said okay to me. That was sort of, wasn't too hard. And then I said, you know, if you're going to do this, let's go to the Dean of College Motion Pictures and talk to them about how we might do that. Well, not only did they help them, but here we had Paul Cohen, an exceptional part of our faculty, and they had seen Hell and Back Again, this story about Afghanistan.
And it's a movie that's going to be screened.
It's a documentary. It followed a soldier in Afghanistan and back home again. Won 2 Sundance Awards. It's just about to be released. It'll be released in a few locations, and our college convinced them that, our College of Motion Pictures convinced them that it should be in Tallahassee and that it should be there for this event and as a fundraiser, and they agreed not to charge us.
Oh, wonderful.
And the director's coming, and the executive producer's coming, and no place else in the southeastern United States will have seen it yet. I expect Ruby Diamond to be packed, and so here's this wonderful success story. And the partner with the Collegiate Veterans is Interfraternity Council, who chose their fellow veteran students as a topic for fundraising. The second thing we're doing is opening a Veterans House. And this is back to that notion of coming to one place. And so our intent is to have a director, people in charge of VA benefits, advisors, a group of individuals that will assist the veterans in being successful. We're going to cut that ribbon on the day after Veterans Day before the football game and in Pearl Tyner House. But the third part of this is we now have a design for a building that will be a Veterans House. Next to that will be ROTC, and next to that will be the World War II Institute. And our notion here is Veterans House is home. This is where that sense of community is, and this is where we provide those services to help the students be successful. But we're going to connect that to the past through the World War II Institute, and even celebrate those from FSU who have served. And we're going to connect that with ROTC, which are the future officers. So the past connected to our current students, connected to future students. And that's planned for Jefferson Avenue, and we are we have put together a fundraising team to raise $15 million in order to construct those 3 linked buildings.
That'll be amazing. How soon do you think you'll be hiring a director for the center?
I actually expect that the director will be announced very soon.
You gave your State of the University speech in October. What were the highlights of your speech?
Okay, you know, it's easy to look at all the tough things going on and all the issues that we have, and how you appear in the press and your budget being cut. It's easy to look at those things. But everybody in public higher education is actually facing similar issues with budget, similar controversies perhaps about sports, or perhaps they're about the science that is being done, the political pressures that are occurring in public education today. So we're not alone there. Step back and you start to realize that FSU has a foundation that may make us much more likely to succeed than some of our fellow publics. One is we're dirt cheap when you come right down to it. So imagine the universities that are at the top of the tuition ladder experiencing budget cuts. Where do they go? We're at the bottom. So we have room there. We're just we're an incredibly high quality. With a low budget and high quality, that means you're incredibly efficient. What about all those universities that are much less efficient? So philanthropy, we're just beginning. So we have the potential to go up and up. And we have this wonderful foundation of the quality of our faculty, the awards they win, how good the students are. We talked about the 3.9 grade point average. So we have this wonderful foundation, and so I talked about the big ideas that we can build on that foundation to take us forward.
So basically you talked a lot about you can get your money's worth at Florida State.
You can.
Thank you very much. That's our time for now. Please join us again next month for more Issues in Education. You can watch the premiere episode of Issues in Education the first Wednesday of every month at 7:30 p.m. That means you can see the next new episode on Wednesday, December 7th on WFSU-TV. Join us as we discuss the latest developments in higher education happening around the state and across the country. If you have questions that you would like us to address on this program, you can email us at issues@wfsu.org. Again, that's issues@wfsu.org. If you would like to see past episodes of Issues in Education, head to the President's website at president.fsu.edu. I'm Suzanne Smith with the Florida State University President, Dr. Eric Barron, for Issues in Education. We'll see you next time.
Financial support for the production of Issues in Education is provided by the Florida State University License Plate. Your FSU license plate supports scholarships for students who enrich and contribute to our communities. Special programs, gift certificates, and rebates for first-time buyers online at fsu.edu/mytag.